Welcome, everybody. Yeah, we're here. We're back. We're back. Thank you all for being here. Give yourself a round of applause. This is amazing. So happy. It's been a year. It's been a whole year. February 2020 was the last tech meetup. So I've been dying to get back to this. I know things have been crazy, and we're doing it in a very safe way. I'm going to give Joe opportunity to talk about this venue shortly because it's an amazing place, and he's really created an amazing environment for us to be able to do this. But just so happy to be here. Thank you all. So whose first Jersey City Tech meetup is this? Yes, all right, round of applause for you people. Thank you for coming. Who's been doing that before? I'm assuming the rest of y'all. I don't think I saw a hand up over here on either side.
Oh, okay.
Well, round of applause for everybody. Thank you all for coming here. Jersey City Tech Meetup, we run monthly events. Lately, we've been doing it on a webinar, but usually we do it in person. We talk about all different topics in tech, everything ranging from social media marketing to cannabis to blockchain to really anything. We cover all different topics, so whatever you're into, we have an event to kind of showcase that and really bring together the community. So it's all about education and community. So I'm just happy you're here, and it's really amazing to be here with y'all, which I've said already, but I'm just really very excited about this. And tonight we're going to be talking about Clubhouse, which is really exciting because a lot of you, especially at this table, you all know about Clubhouse. I think y'all introduced me to it, but it's an up-and-coming app, and there's a lot of opportunity on there, and a lot of new people you can talk to that you might have never had the opportunity to speak with before. So it kind of presents a new social media that has changed the game for me. I haven't seen something to this scale since the MySpace days when it all started for me. So it's just awesome to talk about. I'm really excited to jump into it. But yeah, first I want to shout out the crowd online. We're doing a hybrid here. Our friend Cassidy is taking care of all the people there. So say hi to Cassidy. Cassidy, say what's up to them. So yes, we acknowledge all of you online as well. Drop chats to say who you are, introduce yourself, do a bit of networking on there. If you have any questions for our panelists, we'll be taking questions at the end from the live audience and the virtual audience. So we want you to engage, be part of it too. So round of applause at home for those of you who are chilling on your couch, be a part of this too. All right, cool. And this is going to be my little signal to Joe for the slide shake. So if you see me doing a weird little tick thing, just roll with it. All right, cool. So our next event is actually perfect timing because there was just a new law passed in New Jersey yesterday about the legalization of recreational cannabis, which I'm very passionate about as a cannabis enjoyer myself. So we're going to bring together a panel of women in cannabis to really talk about all things cannabis and how to get into the industry. So if you're looking to start a business, get your piece of pie in this green rush that's coming through, we're just really excited to bring that to light. So if you hit that, you can just go on jctechmeetup.com and that'll be there. It's probably the easiest way to do it. But yeah, join us on March 16th. That's going to be a virtual one. So yeah, hope to see you all there. With the noise.
Sound effect.
All right, so cool. Before we get started, I know we want to jump into the conversation, but I want to thank a couple sponsors that have made this all possible. I can't thank all the sponsors enough. First, giving a little shout out to my company, BU Media. We specialize in social media marketing for brands. So we do brand strategy, content creation, social media management. For anyone who could use help building an online presence or knows anyone who could use that, please reach out to myself. And thank you. I'm happy to get you situated with that. Gotta love it. I love everyone here. All right, cool. NJ Tech Weekly. Rob is here. They cover all of our events, and they're amazing and just do great work sharing the NJ Tech ecosystem. So I appreciate you. And do you have any words you'd like to share? You good? We got you.
Sign up online. It's free.
Sign up online. It's free. They do great things. So thank you for being here. Appreciate it. And Mission 50 is an awesome co-working space. They're offering free 10-day passes to the tech meetup community. So anyone who's interested in that, y'all hit me up about it. We're going to get you on that ASAP. It's a really great space. So yeah, they're awesome. Check them all out. McCarter in English. For anyone running an organization or looking for legal advice or help with your startup, McCarter in English is your jam. Feel free to reach out to either myself or just go on their website, reach out to Adam Sternbach at McCarter English, and they're happy to help you. And they've been helping us actually with our venture. So they're really awesome. And yeah, let me know if you want me to get you in touch with them. Oh, look at that beautiful face up there. Can you believe it? We have Jobo in the house photographing tonight's amazing in-person event. Let's say some words, Jobo.
What's going on, everyone? That's me. I'm just really happy to be here again and see people in person. Feels really good compared to our Zoom meetings that we've had every day. So yeah, I'm super stoked to be here. I'm happy everyone can make it out, and it's gonna be a good panel.
Thanks so much, Jobo. Hit him up for your photography needs. He's incredible, very, very talented, and I appreciate you being here. So thank you, brother. Pew! Oh, Headroom Lounge. That's Joe himself. Please come to the stage, Joe, and just share everyone this beautiful space you've created and tell us a little bit more, because I'm really excited to be here. I super appreciate you making this possible.
So before I get started, let's give a round of applause for Ben, Jersey City Tech Meetup, the first one in over a year. Yes. And thank you everybody for coming out. I love seeing all of your beautiful faces. I haven't seen so many people since COVID has started. It's really nice to get back to a little tiny. So my name is Joseph Cameron. I opened Headroom Lounge during the pandemic because why? I'm crazy. But apparently it was the best time to open one. We're doing amazing. So I hope everybody likes the space. Hope everybody feels comfortable. There are QR codes on the table. You can order food, you can order drinks, blah, blah, blah. This is LGBTQ plus safe space, and we do welcome all of our allies. If anybody would like to come in and do an event on this stage, it is open to you also. So come talk to me, and I'll tell you the same thing I told every entertainer that's approached me. Whatever you want to do, the answer is yes. We will figure out the details.
Everyone, give it up for Joe. Give it up for Joe. I love this spot. It's so amazing. Everyone, be sure to order some food, some drink, tip the bartender. Mike, shout out to Mike, everybody. This is Mike. Amazing. And, yeah, support the community here. All right. So without further ado, I would love to introduce two very special people right over at this table. We got Alex Ike and Summer LCN.
Close enough.
All right, get on up here. Let's do it. Woo! I've been trying for a very long time to figure out how to say Summer's last name. It's been a challenge for me, so I think I made some progress. What do you think?
You definitely made some progress, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, of course. Well, thank you guys. I'm really excited to talk about Clubhouse. You know, you both kind of introduced me to it. Well, Alex kind of talked to me a lot about it, but I think you taught Alex about it, so it's kind of a chain reaction here. But yeah, let's kick this thing off with a couple of introductions. Summer, why don't you go ahead and kick it off with an intro?
Well, thank you for having me, Ben. Thank you to everyone that showed up today. We weren't sure if people were going to show up, honestly. We were like, all right, I guess this is just us tonight, but we really appreciate you for being here. So thank you. Thank you to the people who have joined us virtually. Shout out to my mom. She's watching, so let's keep this PG.
Summer's mom.
All right. To intro myself, my name is Summer El-Sayed, so the way you pronounced it was close enough.
El-Sayed.
Yes. I am an athlete activist, a triathlete with impact, and I am also a mental health advocate and educator. And I am a director of social impact for a tech company, and that's who I am, and that's what I do.
Are you Superwoman as well?
It's actually Wonder Woman. Once again, close enough.
Hey,
Yeah,
this is a learning experience for all of us. We're getting there.
It's on my bio on Instagram and Clubhouse and everywhere.
I don't
but
study
thank you.
bios too often, but thank you, Summer, for having me here. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
for having me.
Alex, I'd love to hear about you.
How you guys doing? My name is Alex. I'm the founder and CEO of Qualified. We're a web design agency. And I'm an active user on Clubhouse. Thank you, Summer, for inviting me to Clubhouse. It's been a wild ride, I guess you could say. Been having a lot of fun on there, learning a lot of things, and super excited to share the small bit of things that I've learned on Clubhouse with you guys tonight. So thanks for coming out.
Amazing. This is really exciting. So let's just get right to it. What is Clubhouse? For those, I know a lot of people here, there might be some Android users who aren't exactly sure what's going on, or or just for anyone in general, anyone in the crowd who might be hearing a lot about everyone's talking about it. So what is it?
Alex?
We'll start with Alex there.
Yeah, cool. So Clubhouse is basically, first of all, is anybody on Clubhouse? Who here is on Clubhouse? Awesome, cool. So you guys pretty much already know. It's basically an audio app where you can just have chats. You know, there's chat rooms on there. There's a stage that you get to go up onto, and you get to network with people from all around the world. Yeah, I would say that's probably the best way, you know, to describe what Clubhouse is. It's basically a drop-in audio chat app.
Yeah, so that is what it is. And the thing about Clubhouse is it's a space where there are both speakers and there's an audience. So you can just be a listener on the app if you choose to. If you'd like to be on stage, you can contribute to the conversation. And yeah, it's an audio app, and
It's actually this room, now that I think
Yeah,
about it. There's a
pretty
stage and then there's an audience. The only difference would be, you know, you guys could raise your hand and come up on stage and join the panel whenever you wanted to, as long as Ben lets you up.
Yeah, exactly, it's all the moderator. I mean, yeah, it's to me, it's like one of the, so different than all other social media, because everything else that I've experienced has been more content based, like produce content, put out content, there's a feed. This is like, and then, you know, you got new apps, like, all right, TikTok, fine, but it's still the same formula, just shorter content, right? But this is real-time live conversations that you can be part of, and you can kind of have access to all different types of people. So,
Yeah.
Do you think that shift is gonna, and this goes to either of you, this is just kind of a flowing conversation, so anyone can jump in as you see fit, but do you think that's gonna kind of structure how social media is moving going forward? Like, do you think this is gonna change the game, or do you think the content is still here to stay?
Now, the content is definitely still here to stay. To your point, you know, what's interesting about Clubhouse is that it's active, right? So with a lot of other social media channels, it's more or less passive, right? You can publish your content and kind of like let it do its thing. With Clubhouse, you have to be on there, right? If you're not on there, you pretty much are the content. So if you're not putting the time, real time, you know, then you don't have visibility, right? So that's kind of what makes it different, what makes it interesting, what's been making it sticky, right? There's that big FOMO that comes along with Clubhouse. I'm sure you guys have experienced it at some point, but you know, when you're not on there, you're missing out on the conversation, right? And then if you miss out for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know, you come back to it, a lot of conversations have happened, and you kind of need to get up to speed with like what's going on. So it's interesting, strategy-wise, you know, how to go about it. But yeah, that's something that I think will actually allow these other platforms to continue to do what they're doing, because there's a lot of people who are like not about that, right?
So, I mean, there's, you
Yeah.
want to jump in there?
And just to piggyback off of what you said, there's a, let's use that term, there is a higher level of involvement, which is leading people to get burnt out quickly. So I would say that maybe we wouldn't completely switch over to that, but I think there are gonna be certain features that we're gonna start seeing on other apps.
Right. And no, that's a good point, because I mean, I personally got on there like real heavy right when it came out, just real heavy. And I know Alex's experience is a little bit too, but just like all the time. And then I found for myself that I wasn't even like doing as much work as I should be, because I was like, I gotta be on my Clubhouse app. I gotta be on the Clubhouse app and like network and find these conversations to be part of. So how have you found kind of balance, and like when, like for someone who's like wondering how to use Clubhouse properly, when do you use it throughout the day? You just pop in and jump in conversations? Like, so I want to hear like how like your user experience is like to kind of keep that balance and not get too caught up in it.
Yeah, for sure. So in the beginning, there was no balance, and I was constantly crossing my own boundaries that I was setting for myself. And I think it's a shared experience that a lot of people have been having. And it is that fear of missing out. And I think the way people build influence on that app so rapidly, it's like, well, if I stay on the app maybe another hour, I'll get, I don't know how many more followers, and maybe I can connect with somebody, of influence or whatever. And for me, I was staying up really late, just joining rooms, and these rooms were not ending. That's the
How
problem.
long do they go on?
No, there are rooms there are certain rooms that last days.
What are these? Don't they have like how do they sleep?
They switch out
They're
moderators.
very successful business people then, so.
They don't need to work.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. And I've seen that myself. Just kind of ongoing, it's a never-ending cycle.
Yeah, no, I'll jump in on that because it's a really good question, and I'll share a little bit about my experience, and how that kind of unfolded for me. When Summer first invited me to Clubhouse, I immediately recognized that there was a huge opportunity there. Because when we look back at Instagram, TikTok, and some of these other platforms, when you came onto the platform early, you were able to get that first mover's advantage, right? You were able to just immediately follow this quickly just by being. So I wanted to get on that train because obviously I missed it with Instagram. You check my Instagram, I have 1,000 followers.
I still love your content.
Right. But anyways, I wanted to get on it with Clubhouse, and I also really just wanted to learn, what's it like. So for me, I dove right into it at first and immediately put myself up on stage, and it was uncomfortable. And quickly I started to adapt to it and understanding the dynamics of the platform. And then I got to this point where I realized that I was prioritizing Clubhouse so much because the follower counts were growing. And it wasn't just about followers. I know I'm saying I'm using that word, but I was making actual relationships that were turning into business relationships really, really quickly. And to keep pace with that was overwhelming. So I burnt out, and I actually had to do a hard stop, and draw a very sharp line in the sand there and get off of it and kind of like reset and figure out how am I going to approach this with more of a structured way of doing it, right? So now what I do is, I will set 2 hours aside, right, 2 days a week that work for me, right, and go ahead and stick to those 2 hours on the app. And then I will go on there, I'll either host a room or just participate in rooms, but I'm very strict about maintaining those 2 hours. And it's been working. It's been working.
Do you like time that around when calls are scheduled? Because there's certain calls on different topics, which I want to talk about the topic shortly, but like there's certain times that there might be something that's relevant to you. So do you like go on at those times, or do you just pop on and just look for conversations and jump into whatever seems best at that time?
I think for me, it's setting an intention, right? So I had the notifications on very frequently in the beginning. I did not want to miss out on anything that was happening. And now I rarely have my notifications on. I don't know what happened there, but
It's not as fabulous as mine.
can we switch up?
Not yet.
So I will join a conversation if I feel like, okay, am I going to learn something here? Do I have something to contribute to the conversation? Because, we experienced this with Zoom in the beginning. Zoom fatigue is real, right? So you think, oh, this is an audio app. At least I don't have to get all dressed up. I can be lying down or whatever. But you're still processing information. You're still, engaging with other people. You're still in a position where you're like, oh, I have a gem to drop that I got to drop right now. Now you're thinking, and it's just like you're burning yourself out.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. Like, it's not like I'm just, when I join calls, it's not like I'm just chilling, kind of having it on the background. Like, I'm generally waiting for my turn, like when I can hop in and speak, or even if like you're in a queue of when to talk, like I'm sitting there like kind of going through what I'm about to say. It's not just a background thing, it takes energy. So that's why finding that balance, I think, is extremely important. So I mean, kind of going into that, what kind of topics have you found that work for you? Like for anyone who's interested, like, but I don't know if Clubhouse is for me, I don't know if it's for my industry. What different types of conversations do you see going on in there that people can join? I
mean, I've seen every conversation. One thing that I've kind of noticed now is that the conversations that are showing up on my what's it called, in my hallway, are very much based around the topics that I talk about, right? Which is more or less leadership and mindset topics. There's a lot of marketing and branding too that shows up in my hallway. And I think that has something to do with the way that the algorithm works. I don't know exactly how it works, but it seems like there is some kind of curation of rooms that are coming up for me. I know that you can go into the search feature and you can go from there and start, broadening the rooms that you'll experience if you want. But inside that search feature, there's everything from sports, there's cultural rooms, there's political rooms, there are rooms about straight business. Those are some of the ones that I've seen. What have you seen?
Yeah, just like TikTok, there are many different sides to it. And, when Alex will ping me in one of his rooms, it's very different. He's in like these business rooms, and I'm more on like compassion and empathy. I'm like, let's be nice to each other, please. But there's different sides to it, right? So I'll be like, maybe in a room for prayer or something, even though I'm like, what am I doing here? You start tapping into these rooms. But something that I wanted to say was, this app was initially created for personal optimization, right? Because we've heard time and time again, once quarantine started, it's like, get a new hobby, get a new skill, monetize your hobbies. And then they're like, all right, let's create this app where people can do that. But I think also, since we've reached a certain point of the pandemic where people are lonely and they're isolated and they just want to connect, people are building communities on there as well. So I think that's really interesting.
100%.
It's awesome. I mean,
I agree, Summer.
I agree.
I have to look over to make sure you agree with me.
You're gonna notice they're just gonna be doing a lot of agreeing with each other. I'm gonna try to get to that point where I'm making them fight with
There
each
are
other.
some funny memes about Clubhouse where it's like, you'll come up on stage and somebody will say something, and you'll just be like, yes, I agree. I just want to agree with everything Summer just said.
Talk to me about resetting the room. Sure. So all right, let's talk about Clubhouse etiquette in general. Like, for people who are like, how do I act on there? Like, what's the way to behave? Let's resetting the room. What's this kind of stuff? Let's reset the room here, Alex and Summer. Share.
Yeah, no, resetting the room is essentially Clubhouse speak for just anybody who comes into the room, or the chat room, if you will, on Clubhouse, may not know what the conversation is, and there's no context of what's going on. So every time 2 or 3 people come in, or a couple hundred people, depending on the size of the room, you want to take a moment to quote unquote reset the room, which just means give context as to what we're talking about, what's this conversation about, right? So that people can feel comfortable raising their hand and engaging with the room, with the moderators, with the other people up on stage. So yeah, it's just a way to give context.
I've actually had a very different experience with that. I feel like resetting the room has been super passive aggressive. So let's just say someone pours their heart out, right? And maybe it's not the setting for it, but they're just like, I'm just going to like pour everything out. The person will be like, oh yeah, well, Alex, thank you so much for sharing, just to reset the room, and they'll just like completely like not acknowledge what the person just said. And I mean, it's fitting sometimes, because like someone will be like, oh, this is what I've been through. And then they're like, we're talking about soup here. Like, this is what the room is about, right? So
It's a worst feeling. I've done that before. Where I've literally shared my life story, what brought me to the man I am today.
yeah,
Just like, cool. All right, we gotta talk to the next person.
we're talking about cryptocurrency here.
I'm like, but this is my life.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
No, to your point, like there's definitely an art to it, right? And what I like to tell people is, think about how you might host a real life event or a real life party, or if you were to have people over your house, how would you present as a host? Because that's going to play into the environment in that room, how people are feeling comfortable, whether or not they're willing to participate in the conversation that you're having. And what I do like about Clubhouse is that it's really quick to figure out if you're going to vibe with whoever's hosting the room, or whoever has the room put together, right? So you're going to figure out quickly if you're going to be friends with them, acquaintances with them, whatever. It's very hard to hide and not be authentic on Clubhouse. Whereas, on Instagram, you can curate your content a little bit more, LinkedIn, so on and so forth, even Twitter. But on Clubhouse, it's real time, so who you are is who you are, and it's gonna show.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add something regarding the culture. So the app it's an inclusive space built on exclusivity. And those two things, it's kind of hard to coexist. So the way that I would say Clubhouse is because we've been on for a few months, Alex and I, and it's like when we first land on Mars, right?
Oh, here we go.
I asked them in the car, I'm like, oh, would you ever go to Mars? But yeah, it's like when you first land on Mars and everyone's having a great time, they're vibing, they're like, hey, I like your shirt. Oh my God, you're so cool. Like, let's build community. And then human nature happens, right? And then division happens. And then there are power structures that are put in place. And I feel like that's what's starting to happen with Clubhouse now. And in the beginning, when it was around holiday season, people were just like, yeah, let's just hold space for one another. A lot of us are home alone. And it was beautiful. Now, if someone doesn't necessarily agree with your opinion, they'll just kick you off the stage. Like, they'll be like, oh, I guess Summer lost connection, and then Summer comes back, and I'm just like, first of all, I didn't lose connection, you kicked me off the stage.
You bitch.
Yeah, so they'll either kick you off the stage, and you know, we watch cancel culture even happen live, which is a bit unsettling. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of the downside, is just people like, you know, I don't have my camera on, so I can act however.
How do you combat that? Does that
Well,
behavior last?
Here's the thing, like, if I see that, I'm not going back into that room, right? I haven't experienced it as often, frankly, but the kind of rooms that I've been in have been more inclusive. People have been, you know, pretty inviting, pretty welcoming, and I think also, like, quickly when that happens, you know, like, it's like, I just don't want to participate in that, so I won't, right? And your reputation on Clubhouse, like, it's crazy. I mean, you will say and share stories and people will absolutely remember it. I've shared stories from when I was on the platform early and then was completely surprised that people remembered what I said, you know, and it was great. I thought it was awesome, but it was like a wow. I almost feel like with other platforms, a lot of the things that I shared aren't as sticky, right? But the stories stick on Clubhouse, and that's part of your reputation. So if you are going around, you know, being a jerk, like, that's gonna stick, and people are gonna remember that, and that's going to carry off platform as well. So, you know, I think just in general, generally speaking, just
Be a good person.
be a good person, you know, like,
That's the bottom line here
That's
tonight.
the bottom line, is be good.
yeah,
Good.
which obviously we're in a company of a bunch of good people, so I don't think anybody here has to worry about that. But to your point, it does happen, and you know, if you haven't been on the platform, you may experience that.
Well, I mean, you talk a lot about mental health and, you know, being an advocate and have people be open about this, kind of discuss these things. So I want to hear about your experience with that kind of topic and how you've felt you benefited, helped people or benefited yourself from having these discussions about the topic on there. And how-
Yeah, thank you. Sorry about that. It's a double-edged sword with mental health. That's a sensitive topic, and I think, you know, a lot of people are experiencing a plummet in their mental health. People are experiencing depression, anxiety. There have been suicidal thoughts, ideations, and attempts since the beginning of COVID. The thing with Clubhouse is you can't really 100% fact check people. So they can put in their bio, oh, mental health professional or therapist or whatever else, right? And you take their word for it. So I've seen a lot of rooms covering mental health, and that could actually cause more harm than good, because even if you are a therapist and you are a licensed professional, you're not their licensed professional. And sometimes you open wounds and then you end the room and it's just like, what am I supposed to do with this now? You know what I mean? But I think it can be great because I've had conversations about mental health, but just being kind of like a gateway, and not being like, hey, listen, I'm not a licensed professional. Here are some resources that I can provide for you, but we want to, for instance, reduce the mental health stigma in Arab communities. We don't talk about that because it's shameful. That's a progressive conversation. But if I'm like, all right, everybody, let's unmute our mics and share your childhood traumas, I'm not licensed to do that. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's been interesting for sure.
That's good. Well, I mean, that's good that you actually are aware of that and not just trying to kind of open up all these doors and then just like, all right, peace everyone.
Peace out, y'all.
All
Thanks
right.
for sharing.
Thanks for sharing. Well, I want to jump to the other side of that, kind of the business conversations you have on there. I know I go on there too, but I mean, curious what opportunities there are. I know there's a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners and creatives in the tech community. So like, what opportunities are there to network and advance and kind of further what you're trying to do on the Clubhouse app?
Yeah, so it's basically networking on steroids. Again, I'll speak to my personal experience on it. If I go in intentionally looking to build awareness around what it is that I do, and what it is that I do is I build websites for podcasters, personal brands, educators, coaches, and go into these communities and, you know, share a little bit of how they can, you know, do a little bit of a better job. You can do live audits. I'll get 14 leads in a week, Like it's crazy. It's really crazy. I've had to like specifically block out time on my calendar just for Clubhouse leads. And that opportunity is there right now, you know, so whatever it is that you do, like let's say you're a copywriter, it would be a great place for you to go on there and say, hey, you know, like, I'm a copywriter, I'm taking a look at your copy right now, you know, and here are some pointers for you, right? And being that you're a copywriter, you probably have a fantastic bio, and you'd have your calendar link in there. And I'm telling you, people will book with you really, really quick. And you can then take that down your funnel, go ahead and start that conversation, you know, qualify those leads and, you know, turn it into new business. There are people on there who have shared stories of, you know, doubling their revenue just from Clubhouse. So there are a tremendous amount of opportunities across all different kinds of verticals. So you just need to go on there and have a story to tell and tell that story.
Yeah, and the opportunities are definitely there. I remember I was in a group chat, Ev was in the group chat, and Alex and another friends of ours. And that morning I said, okay, my intention with using Clubhouse is I want to connect with the United Nations and I want to be an ambassador for the United Nations. That night, Alex pings me in a room that the United Nations is speaking on. And they invited me up to stage and I kept declining at first because I was like, oh, well, why would I be on stage with the United Nations? I literally manifested that the same day, like same day
Like, I'm
shipping.
not ready for this, I'm not ready for this.
Yeah, and imposter syndrome, right? So I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna get on stage. And I got on stage and, you know, I now am in talks with the United Nations. They're talking about me becoming an ambassador and that's what I set out to do. I didn't think it was gonna happen the same day. And I've had sports agents reach out to me and, you know, it's great for that. And the thing is, there's a difference I've noticed on Clubhouse of real authenticity and then like manufactured vulnerability. All right, so if you're up there and you're like, hey, I'm really nervous right now, this is who I am, I'm here to learn, I'm here to connect, and you're just like, this is what I do, like, you know, rather than being like, hey, this is everything that I've been through in my life, and like you want people to connect with you, you can kind of like spot that out and know who's like really authentic. So
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think being authentic on there, that's the best thing you can do, just being truly you and even going into any of these conversations. I've found just kind of talking to people, someone who resonates with my story, I resonate with someone's story, we kind of DM a little bit, and then find them on Instagram and they might have a huge following, talk on stages around the world, would be like an angel investor or something. You don't even know, you're just becoming humans together. And then I feel it kind of puts everyone in the same playing field. Do you kind of say that?
I think it did at one point. Now I think, you know, with the platform is evolving now that it's kind of got more users on it. But to your point about angels investors, like originally a lot of people were using the platform to find different opportunities to invest in, right? So angels were coming on the platform and giving people an opportunity to pitch them live. And this is the room that you were talking about, but I took that opportunity to go ahead and practice my pitch. And I was, for a week straight, I was just pitching angels and I got really good feedback, even got on the phone with David S. Rose. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with him, but he runs the biggest angel investment fund in New York City, and was able to have a one-on-one with him and actually ask questions about, you know, what I was, you know, pitching, and he gave me really good feedback. So there are opportunities to connect with people that you may not be able to connect with. I can tell you right now, if I tried to get in touch with that guy, I would not have been able to, but by chance, somebody I was connected with pinged me into an introduction room, and this was the guy that I was being introduced to, and he followed me, and now he's in my network. So if I need access to him, I have it, you know? So there are like weird opportunities that kind of like come up, but you do have to be active on it to find those opportunities. True.
yeah, I'd say it levels the playing field. Well, it did level the playing fields, like Alex said in the beginning. And then, you know, humans will be humans. And I think now it's performative and it's ego-centered, and people just want to come on and be like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I do, follow me. And then you're missing out on some really great opportunities to connect with people and to potentially get a mentor. And Clubhouse is not real life. So be kind.
Whoa.
It's
It's
not.
my life.
Clubhouse is not real life, guys. Please do not cut my mic, but you need to create connections outside of it, right? Because it is social media. Maybe Clubhouse is not gonna be popping in a few months. I was gonna say a few years, but the way things, the turnaround rate of
So you think it's
certain
going
things.
downhill pretty much? Like, since it started?
No, I don't think so.
I wanna explore this.
I wouldn't say it went downhill. I think it's kind of diluted now, but they are working on certain things for Clubhouse that I think is going to make it incredible. Like there's gonna be a creators grant and people can, you know, actually have ticketed rooms and, you know, you can possibly do this on, you know, Clubhouse.
We're gonna do this on Clubhouse.
Yeah, the platform is definitely gonna heavily reward
Yeah.
creators.
Yeah.
100%. So, you know, if you have the time to invest in creation on the platform, like you will definitely be heavily rewarded in probably 365 days.
Alright, so are you excited about this monetization thing? Do you think it's gonna change the dynamic, like with people, with users actually?
Yeah, 100%.
It's
The
gonna
dynamic
change-
has changed already.
I feel like it's gonna make it less authentic because people are gonna just wanna build following and make money, and it's gonna be less of those genuine conversations we know and love. Like that's what I see it kind of going in, but I mean, also it's good that people get rewarded if they are dropping mad value on there, so I mean, what's your take?
So my take is that it's gonna kind of follow the same trajectory as other platforms have, right? So now there's more of a premium on a follow when it comes to Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or any of those things, right? As the creator, you're gonna have to really showcase a lot of value in order to earn that following. Where Clubhouse is now is it's still cheap. You can get that attention for cheap, right? But as more people continue to come on, you know, just the economics of it is going to make that attention more valuable, and people are going to be stingier about their followings, as you've seen on Facebook, as you've seen on Instagram, so on and so forth. So strategies will evolve in order to get attention, but like the other platforms, you'll be creative on how you bring value forward, how you present content, so on and so forth. So creativity is the only thing that you can kind of rely on when it comes to any social media platform in getting that attention. So that's why I took the opportunity to go on there early when Summer invited me, and you know, I said, all right, cool, attention is cheap now. I'm going to go ahead and load up on attention. So
I think it's a good thing for Clubhouse and for social media in general, right? But at the same time, I feel like we as people are starting to feel guilty for resting. We're starting to feel guilty for having hobbies that we can't monetize. And I feel like that's going to add on to that. And we're gonna be like, oh, well, now I can't just go on Clubhouse. Like, it's gonna be more performative and it's gonna be less about connection. And hey, maybe that's the road that they wanna go down, and that's perfectly fine. But at the same time, I feel like it's just gonna add on to people really connecting their value as a human being to, you know, the amount of money that they can make on a certain app. So, I mean, it's a good investment. Why are you looking at me?
I'm just laughing because I have such a marketer's perspective on it.
Please, that's what we're here for.
Attention is cheap. Get it out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
But I see Summer's point, it's like the whole monetization thing might just take away from the actual just having these conversations. But you know, it's happening regardless, so we might as well embrace it, kind of see where it's
I guess you're gonna have to go to a JCTM meetup.
Well, we're gonna definitely take it on the Clubhouse door.
There you go.
All right, but we're talking about a lot of value. A lot of people talk about value. It's like, yeah, people get on stage like, I just want to drop value. You know, it's like it's just a lot of people say that like loosely, like it's like without actually having shit to say. So I mean, to me, I guess my question is for people who maybe are intimidated to talk in rooms or think, I shouldn't fucking say anything if I don't have value to drop. Like, what's the balance of just like being able to just be authentic and kind of be there to listen versus the need to drop value? Where is that line?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think the way that I see it is, and I do see that what you're talking about, you know, it almost seems as if people are just talking to talk to take up space. But the flip side of that is, you know, they're experimenting. They're trying to figure out how to use this platform, right? So for me, I don't judge it too much, right? I'm just kind of like, okay, cool. This person is in their process of figuring out how to leverage this for themselves. But what I've discovered is that ultimately it is the best place to tell stories. It's a storytelling platform, right? right? Think about like a fireside chat or just sitting around the fire, with your buddies or whoever you go sitting around the fire with. But, you want to share stories. Stories connect humans, and that's where, the baseline of connection is made. So strategically, I would have a set of stories that play into what your values are and what your intention is on the platform. If you are there to, create more business, have stories around how you have done that for others, have success stories about, social media, how you've taken people from point A to B, take them through the journey. That's one way to do it. It's the way that I've been doing it is kind of building community around my ideas, right? And just talking about my ideas, talking about different things that I see in the world, things that are conversations that maybe aren't happening, in real life. I like to have them on Clubhouse and see and engage where people are with some of these ideas and beliefs,
Yeah, I think it's back to intention setting, but what is your intention off of Clubhouse? Let's just say in a week, Clubhouse is not going to exist anymore. So for me, I'll use myself as an example. In the beginning, the first time you get pulled up on stage, you're super nervous. Ev actually was the reason I was on stage the first time, and I was super, super nervous, right? So shout out to Ev. But, the rooms that I enter, there will be politicians in there, there'll be lawyers, there'll be people from the United Nations, activists, and so forth. That's the side, I guess you'd say, that I'm on. And I want to go on to learn and to listen because I don't know everything, right? So I'd rather go on and learn and listen. And, something I speak about in regards to just like activism and, actually creating change in the world is there are two different forms of ignorance. One form of ignorance is genuinely not knowing any better, and you need to be educated. And then there's willful ignorance. It's like people know better, but they just don't care. So I think for me, being able to do what I want to do, I need to understand how certain things work. I don't know how everything works. I don't know the policies behind why certain people are marginalized. I don't know what the financial side to it. I don't. So I go on to listen first, and then if I feel like I have something to contribute to the conversation, I will contribute. But something I noticed about myself is going back to this whole performative thing is, am I going to sound intelligent? Am I going to sound like, someone that they want to connect with in the first place? So I'm like, let me actually listen and take notes and maybe say something kind and compassionate so they can connect with my humanity, because that's how people remember you, is the humanness. They connect to your humanity before they connect to your job title. And people say like, oh my God, Summer, you were just so kind in that room. You were just so funny. You're just, I feel like you're so attractive from your
Summer, you sound sexy.
Summer, you were just like the full package.
Wow, you're everything I've always needed, just didn't know it yet.
But the point that I'm making is there has to be an intention that you set going into it, and if you have something to share and you have value to provide that value and then connect with people off the end.
Nice. Kind of going in there with the intention to learn and to provide value where you can. I like that.
Yes.
I mean, I guess my big question, what's the whole point? What's the main goal? What's the end game? Like, if you say you build like 100,000 followers on Clubhouse, like, what do you do with that? Like, I guess there's like more understandable influencer culture and things like Instagram and stuff. Shout out Dumps at Home. You need to promote businesses and kind of there's different ways you can do that. So what does that look like on Clubhouse? What's the end game, if there is one? I know it's kind of vague.
I mean, for me, it's about real estate, really. If I'm thinking long term, building attention around who I am, I guess is what it is, what it's about for me. Whether it's today and running qualified, or it's tomorrow, running another venture or whatever it is, keeping people informed as to what I'm up to, what I'm doing, and really just community, just having a larger network. Right? Like that's kind of what all social media is about for me, is connecting with people who I find interesting, who I think I can have a mutually beneficial relationship with, honestly, whether that's business or just, for example, making friends with someone in Spain that we connect on cold plunging together. And then when I'm in Spain, getting to meet them and having somebody to travel around Spain with, So it's just, I guess when you think back before social media, you could think about maybe going on TV. But now that we all have this opportunity to kind of showcase who we are, for me, it's more why not rather than why.
Yeah,
So let's hear from you.
yeah, I think it's,
Tell us.
yes.
What's
As-
your
as
why?
I was
Sorry to
saying-
interrupt. Let's reset the room here.
I don't appreciate that, Ben, but so it's pretty experimental right now. You get on and maybe it's going to teach you how to public speak. Maybe it can help you network. Maybe you can use it to just be informed or get educated. And once again, it's not about Clubhouse. It's how am I going to use this app? And you don't even have to use the app to connect with people off of the app, but I think you'd be really doing yourself a disservice if you just get on the app to just like joke around and bullshit, and then you're like, all right, well, thanks guys, let's do this again at 7 tomorrow, But building those connections outside of the app and just like being like, all right, like what does Summer want to do in 5 years from now? What type of rooms should I be getting in? And, I've been in rooms with people who I admire. And one of them is the Brooklyn Borough President, Eric Adams. And to be on there and to hear how he interacts with other people when they ask him questions live, it's a very different experience than him just talking into a camera, right? Some people are challenging what he has to say, and just like learning from him of like, okay, when someone challenges something that I just said, just seeing the poise that he had and just like, how calm he was and being able to just like lead with empathy and compassion, answer those questions. I'm learning from that at the same time as well,
It's awesome. Yeah, it's very valuable, and I think a lot of it just goes back to the intention you put into it, It's not just going in like, I'm just gonna bullshit, whatever, just have intention, and then you get out of it what you put in. So it's awesome.
It wasn't.
If, just to go on the tech side of it a little bit, obviously, Facebook, Instagram, all these apps, they're gonna try to recreate it. You got something that's that popular, you got Elon Musk talking on there, and Mark Zuckerberg, and people are popping in, and it's clearly showing a lot of popularity, and the downloads have increased tenfold recently. So obviously the bigger players are gonna try to recreate this, and there's a big opportunity there for Androids, because the fact that it's only for iPhone users, I feel like I already heard about some apps that are trying to like make it to translate over for Android users, but do you see these being successful? Do you see like Facebook and Instagram creating a competition that's going to wipe out Clubhouse? Or do you think Clubhouse has a unique value prop that's going to stand the test of time? That's for Summer. No, I'm just kidding. Alex, jump into that.
Sorry, let's yeah, I don't know about, standing the test of time. I don't know that Facebook will be around forever, but, for at least the foreseeable future, I think it's backed by some pretty clever venture capitalists. I think that their founding team is experienced, probably well-oiled, I guess you could say. But I think the thing that they did that's, in my view, pretty genius is that they reverse engineered how humans kind of come together in real life, right? Like the analogy that I brought up earlier, if you were to host a party or if you were to host people over at your home, the dynamics of Clubhouse are mirrored, right? But the dynamics of that are mirrored on Clubhouse, right? So because it's tapped into such fundamental parts of like the human experience, human behavior, I think that that's their moat, and that's going to keep them competitive for a long time. There are other apps out there that have tried to compete with Clubhouse, and they haven't had the same success. They've really nailed this cultural component of it. They spent a lot of time in the earlier days getting advocates to go into rooms and spread the culture of Clubhouse. And because it's stuck at this point, right? Like that Clubhouse culture is already carrying to here, it's carrying on beyond the application. So I think they're pretty safe. Sure, other people will try to come in and replicate it, but I don't know.
I think the exclusivity component is different because we haven't really seen that with other apps. We haven't seen that much with Instagram or Facebook. So I think that's something that sets them apart. And I had a conversation with a friend and he told me, Summer, Facebook is trying to replicate what Clubhouse is doing. I don't see this being like an Instagram that started to do the stories and now Snapchat is like not a thing anymore, because I think Snapchat, they just stayed where they were and they didn't try to like add anything else to the experience. I think Clubhouse is different because they're evolving and they're doing other things. And I'm gonna be honest with you, like Facebook is just doing too much now. Like I feel like Facebook, you can play games and then you can, do Facebook Watch, and then like there's like dating now, and it's like I don't want to date my neighbor across the street. Like it just sucks. No, it's just so weird. I feel like when you try to do too much, it's like, okay, I'd rather go to a place or a space that just focuses on this one thing. And once again, they're working on different versions and they're not going to stay in the same place like Snapchat did.
Awesome. I appreciate that insight, y'all. Everyone, we're about to ask a few more questions and then kind of wrap up and then go into the Q&A segment. So I just want to say, everyone, if you have questions you want to think about, start thinking now, because we're gonna jump into that soon. And that goes for the virtual people as well. So thank you all for your participation. I want to jump into, any fun experiences or memories from rooms in the Clubhouse experience you've had. Let's talk about hot dogs. Summer, would you share, please? Any fun experience, but I'm not specifically dive towards that. Okay. That was a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I joined one of the rooms that Alex was speaking on, and once again, it's very different from the rooms that
Your own experiences.
It's different, right? So I guess Alex was trying to make a point.
What's a vote room?
Alex was on stage and he was speaking and he wanted to show how marketing worked. So he was like, hey, so I want to show you marketing live, right? He goes, I really like hot dogs, so I'm gonna change my profile picture to a hot dog right now. And he obviously was pretty silent in the room because he was the only one speaking. And he goes, if I can get people in the crowd to just change your photo to a hot dog, because I want to show how marketing works. And I was in the crowd, but I was like, no, do I really want to change my photo right now? So Alex messages me separately and he goes, hey, I'd really appreciate it if you changed your profile
That's what you got to jump out and do the text. I need you here.
To a hot dog. So now I'm on Google and I'm like, which hot dog looks most like me? Which encompasses my personality. Am I a mustard kind of girl?
I was on stage, by the way. It was a panel on branding and marketing.
So Alex is the only one on stage. He has a hot dog as his profile picture. And then in solidarity, I'm like, all right, let me just do this really quickly. And Alex took a moment to really like call out on me. And I'm like, can we like wrap this up, sir? And then Alex goes, hey, I just wanted to unmute my mic to thank, I think her name is Summer in the crowd, for changing her profile picture to a hot dog.
I think Evelyn was there.
Evelyn.
Like she was there.
Did you change it to a hot dog too?
No, she did not.
She did not.
She couldn't find a hot
You didn't
dog.
get the direct.
She's like, sorry, I just saw the message.
So did this?
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Look. So it was a huge flop, basically, because there's a trend on Clubhouse where everybody changes their profile picture and you PCR, pull to refresh, and then it shows everybody. So I wanted to highlight that. But it flopped, and the people that I was on stage with and people in the audience, I posted about this flop on my Instagram, and from Instagram, I got a lot of DMs acknowledging my flop and how like ridiculous it was. So it kind of worked at the end of the day.
That's like when someone's talking about you, good or bad publicity.
Yeah, exactly.
Have you, I mean, is there any other experiences, like, just to jump into, because it's kind of fun, like, that you've got in there and totally flopped? Like, just an opportunity for the crowd to hear, to learn, like, what's not the way to do things in Clubhouse from any experiences you had? Like, one time I jumped into a room, and I know I took Alex's advice, like, whenever I go into a room, I usually just raise my hand and then try to get on stage, and then if I have something to say, I'll say it. And like, I did that in a room I joined, and it usually works. Like, they're usually, I'm just like, hey, I want to add this, or like introduce myself, and they're usually open to it. But then this one room I did that, and they were so confused why I was on the stage. They were just so unsure why I was there, and I was like, they're like, hey Ben, did you have a question for the panel? I was like, nah, just kind of wanted to say what's up. Just wanted to introduce myself. And then it was like, all right, we're just gonna demote you to the audience.
And then just to reset the room.
Reset the fucking room. I'm like, oh, this hurts my inside. I was like, oh, I'm dying. I gotta get off the app. So I mean, do you have any experiences like that where it just like didn't work, whatever you tried?
Yeah, I mean, read the room.
I learned.
Read the room, like, you know, it's for me, you know, prior to Clubhouse, you know, just doing meetups in general, you know, here in Jersey City, you know, across the river in Manhattan. I personally like networking, so I have this similar approach where, you know, it's just kind of like, you know, you break the ice with your icebreaker, you know, you give opportunities for people to connect with you, to share and talk about different things, you know, and you build rapport, you know, like that's just kind of how you go about it. It's still humans on the other side of that phone anyways, you know? So yeah, I mean.
Did anything happen to you? Did it make you learn that?
What's that?
Did anything actually happen where it didn't go over well? Or did you just nail it? Did you nail it from the start?
I nailed it from the start. I'm not gonna lie, because honestly, like, you know, I do a lot of networking in real life, so, you know, it wasn't a crazy, like, you know, adoption curve for me. I just kind of took what I do here, you know, just did it on Clubhouse, so, just read the room.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you got something to say.
Don't be too quick to jump on stage, I'd say. And it goes back to the whole reading the room. But you know, if I was in a room that Alex was speaking in, I personally would not feel comfortable speaking in the, well, not the rooms that you moderate, but
I'll pull you up there.
there are certain rooms where just the way that they interact with people, I'm kind of sensitive. So there was a guy that was speaking to Alex and he was really stern, and I was getting offended for Alex, and Alex was fine. And I was like texting Alex, I'm like, are you okay?
What was
Is
he
everything
talking about?
okay?
Do you remember what happened?
I think Alex went to ask a question and he was just
I was
like,
pitching.
yeah, and then he was like, hey, we're not pitching here, if you have any
No,
questions.
we were pitching, and he was just ripping my pitch.
Yeah.
Which
It
I
was-
appreciated because that's what I was trying to do, but yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, thank you.
No, of course. So it's knowing like, okay, maybe I wouldn't feel comfortable speaking in this room, and also like listen to how they talk to the other people that are in the room and are on stage. Like, are they dismissive? Are they, you know, validating what you're saying? And it's like, okay, do I want to be spoken to like that? And if not, then you don't get on stage. Or if they put you on stage, demote yourself.
Yeah,
before they
you
get
can
to-
bounce. You can always just
Exactly.
bounce on these apps.
Self-respect.
You don't need to stay.
There is this room that happens on Friday mornings. It's called Coffee Time with Ben. Really good room. Definitely
Who is
check
this
it out.
guy? Sounds incredible.
The vibe in the room is amazing. It's super inclusive.
Thank you,
And
Alex.
it's a great place to just, you know, share your wins about the week, you know, some maybe your lows and highs, and you know, the moderator is super supportive, so I would definitely check that out.
Oh, thank you, Alex. He sounds wonderful. No, but for real, that's actually people. That's the one room I do moderate on there. So if anyone wants to join, it's at 11 on Fridays. Not every Friday, but most Friday. Really, just to celebrate each other. Like, I like to just have a safe space where you really talk about whatever you feel like talking about.
It's really nice.
Bring your coffee.
But you gotta have coffee. I can hear if you're drinking coffee or not. Don't try to get away with not having coffee. All right, tea. You can have tea also.
Ben, I just want to point something else out, because there's features on the app that allow you to, you know, have semi-private rooms and then private rooms as well. So it's not just like you can just, if you're setting up a private room, it's going to be just your friends, your close circle, you know, people that you intentionally invite, so you can have a safe place to have these conversations. But if you're doing an open room, just know that anybody can come into it, you know, from the hallway, and you don't know what kind of energy that person's going to bring.
Yes, I actually just remembered, I wouldn't say a flop, but an uncomfortable experience that I had on Clubhouse. And this guy, I guess, was a cult leader, and he was trying to like enroll me into his
Classic.
cult. And I was really, in the beginning, I was like, all right, yeah,
Sounds like a good cult.
I'll see what this guy has to say. And the questions he was asking me, it was like, how obedient are you? And I'm like, would you give up your freedom for justice? And I'm like, And he's like, it got really bizarre. And I'm not the type of person that will just end the call. I'm just like, thank you so much for considering me. I feel like this is not something I'd be aligned with at this time. And yeah, he was really pushy about it. And he's like, well, if you have a better community, then you tell me and I'll join your community. But until then, I'm like, sir, take it easy, you know?
There's a lot better.
But you need to be careful
One
with who you
question.
connect with off the app as well. That was definitely an interesting experience.
Yeah, so one thing that I forgot to ask about earlier, just like kind of, for somebody who's trying to create rooms, like you more moderate, like what determines who enters your room? Like, I guess you mentioned a little bit about the pinging, but just in general, like how does that work? Like, who sees your room and all that?
So people who follow you will see your room as you create it. We didn't talk about clubs. You can have a club. You can apply for a club through Clubhouse, and that allows people to. It's kind of like I would say it's like a Facebook group, right, where people can subscribe to the club, and then you can decide if people can host rooms within the club, and then everybody in the club will see the rooms in their hallway. As you're hosting them live. You can pre-schedule them. There's a feature in the app that allows you to schedule rooms ahead of time. And then you can go ahead and put that on your calendar, promote it on your other social channels, so on and so forth. Inside the app, there's that feature that allows you to ping, and you can ping people into the room, so on and so forth.
Nice. Well,
I had a question.
are we all right, cool. So real quick, before we jump to questions, kind of want to wrap up like this bit here. So what do you see, any final words on Clubhouse or what you see for the future, or just kind of advice for people, and where can they find you? And then we're gonna jump to audience Q&A. And that's not only on Clubhouse, but anywhere. Like, shout yourself out. The stage is yours. I just want to give you a chance to kind of share with the people.
Okay, so just final words, I would say, the bottom line is just be a good person. We spoke about this so many times.
Just be good.
Anywhere you go, whether it's, on an app or in real life, once again, we've reached a certain point in this pandemic where people just want to connect. People, I've been in rooms where someone heard a kind word or somebody was just kind to them and they actually started crying. And I think it's because, some people, I guess we've all reached or we hit a wall and we might not be the kindest all the time to others and to ourselves. So be kind to yourself, be kind to others. And I think that's what I would say. And just something for entrepreneurs or anybody in general. Something that I stick by is have values that you would not compromise and take that with you everywhere. I have certain values that I will not compromise. I will not collaborate with certain people if we're not aligned on those values. And, my values are just compassion, justice, freedom. And if, someone reaches out, they're like, hey, let's collaborate. No, I'm sorry. Let's not.
You're not compassionate. There's no justice in your cause.
Yeah.
You're not obedient.
You're not obedient either.
What would you say your level of obedience is?
I don't want the freedom.
Yeah. And where you can find me on Instagram, I am Summer El Sayed. On Clubhouse, I believe it is just Summer El Sayed. And yeah, thank you again.
That's how you spell it for anyone curious.
ELSAYED.
I'll say it. I think I'll never
Yes.
forget how to say that again. Hopefully.
Hopefully, thank you,
I'm
Ben.
gonna do my best. Thank you, Summer. Alex.
Yeah, from my perspective, I would say, if you are an entrepreneur, if you're self-employed or a business owner or an artist or a copywriter, absolutely take the time to build brand right now on Clubhouse. Have stories to tell. It's a great place for top of funnel. Have a place for people to go to so that they can get invested in what you're doing. And just go on there with an open mind, willing to experiment and connect with people. There are real business relationships happening on the app that you can take off the app. So yeah, definitely jump on the opportunity. And if you need to get in touch with me, I am on Instagram. I am Alex Ike, also known as Abundance Alex. I'm also on Clubhouse as Alex Ike, or you can go to my website, getqualified.com, or you can email me, alex@getqualified.com. Yeah, I'm pretty accessible, so feel free to reach out to me. Would love to jam and talk more about how I can help you if this is something that you're interested in.
Amazing. Well, before we jump to Q&A, everyone give it up for our panel. They're amazing. I love both of you. I appreciate you being here sharing your wisdom. Thank you all so much. All right. Well, without further ado, let's jump into some Q&A. Do you guys want to stretch it out? Stand up. I'm gonna stand up.
Question in the back.
McLeod.
We're doing one question at a time, right?
Yeah, one question at a time. I'll come back to you if there's time for more.
Alright, so I'm like a musician, artist, producer. So Ben actually invited me on the platform, and as someone in like my realm, like an artist or producer trying to promote the brand, promote their narrative, promote the music, what's like based on your experience, what's like the best way to go about Clubhouse in terms of someone like me?
So essentially Clubhouse for musicians. huh?
Exactly,
Yeah.
because it's not like there's like music platform on there yet. You know, it's not like people are there like, yo, listen to my track. Like, let me get on stage, I'm gonna play you my track. I know I saw an article about this one girl who like was like the first person to stream on like quotation stream on Clubhouse or something like that. But like there hasn't really been like a defined music space there yet, and like obviously it's a brand new app and a brand new experience, so it's not gonna it's probably not been defined yet. But it's like someone like me, how do I go about executing that situation? You know, as like an artist, like a music person trying to, I guess, network as well as promote the brand, as well as just use the app to the best etiquette, like you guys were explaining, and then just like optimize myself on there once I get on there.
For those at home, he's asking about how to optimize your Clubhouse strategy, presence, that's the word, presence. Your Clubhouse presence as a musical artist. So that's kind of what we're diving into here.
Yeah, I definitely have a suggestion for you. So, we all have a story, we all have a journey, right? As a musician, a lot of your fellow musicians have a similar story. So creating rooms around perhaps some of the obstacles that you've come into as a music artist, and what are the struggles that you're going through, what's your day-to-day like, and sharing those stories and having conversations around that. Because honestly, a lot of other musicians are having similar experiences, right? And you're going to be able to connect on those experiences. And naturally, if you're already hosting your music, let's say on Spotify or wherever you're hosting it, they will go over there to check it out. You just need to put it in your bio. Like, hey, if you vibe with me, go ahead and check out my stuff over on Spotify or whatever. They will, right? But it's all going to be based on the story that you tell, your journey, and being vulnerable enough, but not too vulnerable, to have that connection with other people.
Is that the top of funnel stuff you were just talking about?
Yeah.
I know like on Facebook, you have the top of funnel and you can retarget those people, that, either engage with like your post or your ad or something like that, and then, go from there. But in Clubhouse, it seems like, there's not really that in place. Yeah.
It's not really that in place. So how does that top of funnel work? So
Yeah.
like you just said, I guess just
Great question.
creating the narrative for people to be interested in it, and those people kind of, I guess, connect with you on their own.
Yeah, so if you're hosting, your music on your own website, you can capture them there with a pixel, with a Facebook pixel, right? But they're also working on analytics in the back end for Clubhouse. So it is evolving, and there's going to be a way for you to remarket those people in the future. But at this point in time, you might as well just focus on building community around what it is that you're doing. And there is a huge community around music artists already on there. I'm sure you're aware of it. But going into those rooms, figuring out maybe, who are the nodes, who are those people that really already have community around them, and how can you connect with them to collaborate on other rooms together and position yourself also as somebody who's a leader in that space.
Yeah, so really, I just want to piggyback off of that. Just goes back to just being authentic and just kind of connecting with people who, whether or not they're musicians, just people who you can vibe with and kind of find a common ground. Just figuring out within your story what that common ground is. and then they're gonna naturally like you, they're gonna check out your stuff, they're gonna become a fan of your amazing music, which is amazing, by the way. Y'all should check him out, the DJ Cleo. I was there from the beginning when you're learning your Carmen. Now he's crushing it, he's crushing it.
Yeah, and to piggy off of Ben, who
You're
piggybacked
gonna piggy off of
Alex.
me, it's not even piggyback.
People could search you up by your bio, so certain keywords in your bio. If you put producer, I've had a lot of triathletes follow me because I have the word triathlete in my bio. And there are places and spaces within Clubhouse where you can actually play your music and get feedback. And there are feedback rooms, and there are, you know, people in the industry who will take some time out of their schedule to like listen to people's tracks or just to give them advice. So I think the algorithm now is much better. You can actually upload your interests and it'll adjust. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Awesome, thank y'all for piggybacking. All right, Cassie, you had a question. I saw your hand up before, don't be shy. All right, hold on, let me mic you up.
Do I have to buy a mask on?
Not if I come to you.
Yes.
Yes.
Not if I come to you. You're good.
Hi.
Hey.
This is really awkward.
It's okay.
It's,
This is normal.
I am like trying to get into marketing.
Alright.
No, don't
I'm
shove
supposed to
me
be the only one holding the mic for the whole thing and not passing the germs, so that's the only reason
Got
I'm not
it.
passing it off. You can just shout.
I am trying to get into marketing and I'm trying to use the Clubhouse approach, but I can't really figure it out. Is there certain rooms that I should be going into networks? I feel like networking is a big factor into getting into a marketing firm, and it's hard because obviously I can't go anywhere to talk to people. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so just for like more context, you're looking for a job?
Yeah.
Okay, and you have marketing background, or are you just?
A little bit,
A little
yes.
bit, okay,
Yeah.
cool. So, yeah, just being pretty crystal clear about like where your experience is around what it is that you do professionally, putting that in your bio and putting it out there that you are seeking, you know, relationships for employment, and going into rooms and just, you know, letting people know that I'm at this level, this is what I can do, you know, and I would love to talk more about culture, different things like that, things that you might be interested in seeing in different employers. They'll absolutely pick up on it and speak up and connect with you. As someone who does employ people, like when people start to reflect the values of my company, I'm very interested and I want to have a conversation with them. So, you know, really highlighting, you know, what it is that your values are, how you operate professionally, so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Awesome. And you have all our info. You could always, I would be happy to chat more and kind of get you more involved in Clubhouse. I'll do good when you're on there in the coffee time thing. Keep it
Yeah.
up.
I just like can't figure out the.
Yeah, you just gotta use it, really, just
Yes.
keep using it. You know, it'll come naturally over time.
And I can just sit down and just do some rooms together. I'll show you.
Okay.
Awesome. Gallus.
I want to piggyback off of piggybacks. So, sorry, that was weird. So,
No one's uncomfortable. Get to the point.
so McLeod said that some spaces in Clubhouse aren't very defined. So if there's something that doesn't yet exist in Clubhouse, how do you define a new space? Can anyone do that, or is that?
100% yes. Yeah, so there's a space that I'm very interested in, which is motocross and supercross, right? Which is not clearly defined on there yet, but I have it in my bio, and I am slacking on creating a club around it, but I've hosted rooms around it, and I've been surprised that other people on there, you know, recognized it and came into my rooms, and we were able to talk about this kind of sport that's not a huge sport, but you know, when people see something that they're interested in, they're absolutely going to go into it. So I don't know what space it is that you're thinking of.
Legal freshwater fish.
Illegal freshwater fish, yeah. So yeah, I would, you know, put rooms together about it and maybe, you know, have
Just
to.
don't put illegal in the subject of the
No, I
line.
said legal.
Oh, I heard illegal.
Legal in quotes, right? Yeah, but anyways, definitely talk about it, put rooms around it. What are the things that, if you're looking for these fish, there are things that you want to consider, so on and so forth. Because as a subject matter expert, you're going to be able to educate people on it. And, maybe it's not even on their radar and they want to learn about it.
Yeah, and as my friend Alex says, it's prime real estate now. So if you create a club, there are more clubs now, but someone can search up, fish. It doesn't have to be the entire thing that you said, but if they search up fish and they're like, hey, I want to talk about fish, then they will find your club and they'll probably, join your club. And yeah, I think now is the time to really start that. I'm also slacking on starting mine, which is about athleticism and activism, and I should really get on that. So thank you for the reminder.
Awesome. Real quick, we'll jump to you next. I just want to jump to the person who just asked a question in the virtual audience, Bridget. It's a question for Summer. How to break into the mental health space. I guess you're looking to get kind of more involved and help people and have an impact. We want to hear how to get in there.
Thank you for asking. Bridget is the name, right?
Bridget's awesome, by the way. Shout out, Bridget.
Shout out, Bridget. Thank you for asking. I love it. I love that it's not a family member of mine that asked me a direct question. Bridget, what is your long-term plan? Do you want to become licensed eventually, or what role do you want to have? People now are looking into becoming advocates. There's, you can be an advocate, you can be an activist. So it's doing your research and how can I become a mental health advocate? So I think that's a key word to search up. And, I think that'll be a great place to start. You can definitely connect with me off of here at I am Summer El Sayed on Instagram, and I would love to help you with that. I got into mental health, I'm gonna say, not a year ago, it was actually 2 years ago, and I work with an organization called Flora Minds. And once again, I'm not a licensed professional, but I educate in marginalized communities, I educate the youth, and it's been a great experience. That's my involvement with it. And also, once again, I am an advocate and an activist for mental health. So thank you for asking.
Thank you, Summer. I acknowledge you. That's amazing work you do. Seriously, I really appreciate everything you do. People need that. It needs to be talked about more. So thank you for all you do. There's a question over here.
Yes.
What's up?
So you guys are awesome. I'm learning a lot. This is great. Thank you for being here. And so if you were going to describe this to a kindergartner, very step by step, you make your profile, you put your name, you make your bio, then I'm walking down a hallway, and that's kind of what I got so far. So do I create a room, and that's my clubhouse, and I wait for people? Do I don't know what a ping is, do I search things and then just add myself to rooms? What's the step by step kindergartner process, please?
Great question.
You pretty much said it.
Okay.
Yeah, and to pick up where you left off, you would, if you're walking down the hallway at school, right, you would just kind of turn and go into one of these classrooms. Right?
And you're allowed to go in any room or
any room that you see in your hallway, you can walk into. If it's a private room, you wouldn't see it. So you wouldn't be able to see the principal's office.
And just to jump in there, what you see is who you follow. So it starts with kind of who you follow, that gets a feel for your vibe, but it also asks you some of your interests. So in the beginning, when you're setting up your bio, you select your interests, so it's going to show you rooms based on those interests and the people you follow. That's going to be under feed, so you can jump into any of those. So initially, for me, I started by just jumping in and kind of listening in a few rooms. You want to just hear it out, get a feel for it. Then I created a bio kind of based off of what I saw other people doing and what my bios were for other social media, meshed it all together. And then from there, you talk in rooms you want to, or then it's time to take the leap and moderate your own rooms. And whatever topic you're interested in, you do that. And then by that point, you would have built a following because you're talking in these rooms that you're checking out initially, and people check you out, follow you. So then when you start a room, now you're going to show up in people's hallway. They're going to walk into your room, and you're going to be the teacher. That's the end of the fun. That's it.
Yeah, and kind of to take a step back there, you'll be able to go to the little search feature, right? And you could search something, for example, astrology, right? And it will show you all the people who have astrology in their bio because it has an SEO feature. And then you can follow them, right? And as you follow, let's say the first 30 people, as their rooms show up, like Ben said, you go into them. Me knowing a little bit about what you do and your knowledge base, I think you would be fantastic, entering into astrology, right? And creating thought leadership around what you already share on Instagram, right? Because you're very well spoken, you're able to educate easily, you have a teaching background, so on and so forth. So it would be a great place for you to build brand and get visibility and continue to build your following on Instagram. Because a lot of people like to hear what you're saying, and then they go right over to your Instagram and they follow you over there. So it's sticky on two different places.
Thanks for the question. Any other questions, McLeod?
Yes.
And then we have room for one more after that, so.
This is like kind of like a two-parter, back like to the bio thing. So is that just like the description where you're allotted like X amount of characters, you just fill that up with like all your interests, or is that like when you made your profile, you had to like pick like different interests that you might, things you might be interested in, at that point in time, or is it literally just like, I write all the things I'm interested in, like the bio text, and then the algorithm picks me up based off of the text if somebody searches it?
Right.
Just for the virtual people, the question was around, if you didn't hear it, around kind of how the bio works and how the text is incorporated in the algorithm to kind of improve your searchability on the app.
Yep. So I don't know exactly how many characters you're limited to, but it's quite a lot. And I would think about it as you might think about writing a blog post, right? So obviously at the top of your bio, when people do click on your profile, it does only show the top 3 lines. So this is where you might have your attention grabber or your, the thing that you really want people to see to get them to open up and read more. Because it is SEO enabled, like you do want to strategically put keywords in there, right? But you don't just have to like list them or whatever. One thing that's unique to the Clubhouse search feature is the emojis are also SEO enabled, right? So using emojis strategically and just general best practices around copywriting. I don't know if there are any copywriters here in the audience, but you might want to connect with one if there is. But yeah, that's my.
So the second part, like the second part would be, so I know you guys talked about like the metrics aspect of it, and like human nature is just like, especially with social media, like centered around metrics. Do you feel like it's important to have those metrics? Like I have, especially for the search function, for people to connect with you, like I have X amount of followers, people are not going to take you seriously, or does that not matter in Clubhouse? Or does the algorithm pick you up based off of like how many followers you have or how engaged you are? You know how like Instagram is and Facebook are, like the new algorithms like 100% more based on engagement and popularity versus you guys talked about like being a good person on the app, and now we'll get you the connections that you're seeking. But does the app actually just go by metrics?
That's a good question. I don't know exactly, but if I'm going to speculate, I'm pretty sure that it's all based off of that SEO search feature, right? So there's that, and then there's the network effects or something on Clubhouse, which is your family tree, right? So if you go to my bio, at the very bottom of my bio, you'll see who invited me to Clubhouse, which was Summer, right? And then if you go to the bottom of hers, you'll see who invited her, so on and so forth. So that family tree has something to do with who gets to see you as you first come onto the app. It's very, like, the way that they kind of got this thing to quote unquote blow up was it was invite only. So it already kind of played off of, your in real life social dynamics and network, right? So consider that. Also, one thing that I considered doing early on, which I never executed on, but was when I got awarded those first 3 invitations, I reached out to some thought leaders and influencers on Instagram and LinkedIn and offered it to them so that I could be on there at the bottom of their profile, because I knew that they had audience already built off platform, and perhaps if they were to accept my invitation, I would benefit from that. Never happened, but something that I thought about to take advantage of how the network effects kind of work on the platform.
Very interesting
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. We have room for one more question. Don't be shy, y'all. There's a lot of brain power up here on the stage.
Mostly summer.
Ian.
So, this is a question, I guess, for the potential of Clubhouse. So on other platforms and apps, there's like a potential for collaborative campaigns, like ad campaigns, usually for like, bigger causes, maybe fundraising, charity, or something like that. Can you foresee perhaps a potential for some similar collaborative efforts, occurring on Clubhouse, or is the design, you would say, maybe not conducive to that?
So for the audience at home, the question is around collaborative applications on Clubhouse, kind of as it's done on Facebook and Instagram. There's going to be more room for collaboration moving forward. Any thoughts on that, Summer?
Yes, so thank you for your question, Ian, and we look forward to having you on Clubhouse. Yes. So yeah, I do see that happening, and those are the ticketed events. I think there are going to be certain ticketed events. And I also foresee that there is going to be a fundraising feature. And you can, they were talking about being able to tip people. So thinking of monetization, yes, I think that will happen. We see fundraising on Instagram and on Facebook, and it's now becoming a thing. So I can definitely see Clubhouse doing that, because Clubhouse also needs money to continue to operate when the hype is not as hyped as it is now. So I believe so.
I'm not sure I, fully understand the question.
So I guess to clarify, I'm saying, do you think the design of Clubhouse would help facilitate those kind of larger, like multi-brand collaborative campaigns, like two brands coming together for like a fundraiser or like charity, bringing their services into one kind of event? Could Clubhouse's design facilitate that?
Absolutely, yes. So one really interesting thing that I saw happen on Clubhouse, which I think got some PR, was a bunch of people collaborated to do The Lion King, the musical, and it broke the app, right? So the room kind of shut down because so many people, thought it was cool, and it was like a live performance on the app. And what's cool about what they did was they actually all met each other on the platform. They didn't know each other. They were all performers, and they collaborated on making this room happen and blasting it out to their different audiences. And I think they strategically brought some people on there who had already had followings, and yeah, they were able to blow their room up, and it kept crashing, right? And more people wanted to come in the room. It was really cool. So I could definitely see brands getting creative with that. Again, it's very much like you're seeing a greater trend of like experience marketing, right? Like how are you getting creative to make these cool experiences for people to remember? So whatever channel you're going through, whether it's Clubhouse or Instagram or whatever, or in real life, it really comes back to that creativity, and that collaborative opportunity is absolutely there, and people are going to take advantage of it for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you all. Thank everyone for your questions. I just want to thank everyone for being here, both in person and virtually. It's been a year since we did this, so it wouldn't be possible without you all showing up. So I really appreciate you. If you want to see more about the events we're going to be doing in the future, at JC Tech Meetup on Instagram or jctechmeetup.com. I hope to see you all again soon. So give yourself a round of applause for being here. I appreciate you all. And everyone give it up for our panelists and for Joe for making this all possible. Give it up. Give it up.